powered or pioneer new culture that can keep your company afloat. Strategy is just a paperwork. It needs a people that can drive it for an outcome. So please be conscious of the people when creating strategy for the company. Have you heard of that phrase that culture eats strategy for breakfast? I'll show you why that is very important. And it's a reality for most companies. You see, when they have spent time designing, putting heads together, brainstorming on strategy that are very fine, excellent to execute. And this happens every quarter or at the start of the year. You see heads of teams, heads of department come together, roll out strategy based on market insight and signals. And at the end of the day, every strategy requires a team to execute. Strategy is not an island, is not isolated of the people that would implement it. And that's why many a time when a strategy session is going on, it's actually very important to take note of the people that will drive the results. And here is why. At the end of every strategy, there is a people to implement. And at the back side or the flip side of the coin is that there's a culture that powers the team. It might be subtle, it might be unpopular, but there's a culture that is inherent in your system. And when that is not taken care of, or if you're not conversant of it, if it's a culture that inhibits progress, there's no amount of strategy you want to do. It doesn't matter if your strategy was designed by the big fours. It does not matter if you brought in expatriates to execute. A culture would swallow your strategy. This happens in many traditional companies. I'm talking about companies that have maybe crossed 2 decades, because that's a perfect environment where culture is very entrenched. In a startup, you can't see that, and that's why you will see most startups, they fire, right? They execute on fire. It's a laser focused kind of environment. Culture has not been rooted yet. It's just the base, like the starting point of culture. But in a very structured environment like traditional companies, it's hard because people have been conditioned, they have been satisfied with a particular way of doing something. To get them out of that veil is difficult. You need to do like complete overhauling, mental assessment, revisiting what needs to be revisited. So it's very hard, and that's why you see some of these new generation companies or startups moving very fast. You see the likes of Money Points, you see the likes of Data Waves, and the likes of them. The level at which they are growing is in sync with their strategy and the culture of the team. And that's because the team is still very vibrant, it's still very young and thriving. But give it some time, give it like, let's say, 10 years, the structure would have been conditioned to a certain level of environment that inhibits new ideas. So a founder or executive must be very, 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 very aware of certain undertone that might drive the outcome in their company. So to avoid that, there's need for team check, team assessment. There's need for orientation, review, cultural check. There's need to always revisit your culture. Powered or pioneer new culture that can keep your company afloat. Strategy is just a paperwork. It needs a people that can drive it for an outcome. So please be conscious of the people when creating strategy for the company to thrive. And I hope that would help. But for startup, you guys can still, keep piling on. We are covered, at least for now. But it's a thing that you have to be conversant of, so you don't fall into that same ditch when it happens. See you again.